This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutastrophe, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And today it is George Foreman, one of the most prominent boxers in history. Big George, 6'3", with an 81-inch reach. It's his 72nd birthday today. He was born January 10th, 1949 in Marshall, Texas. His boxing record, 76-5. That's pretty impressive. He had 81 fights in his career. He was a pro boxer between 1969 and 1997. He was a two-time heavyweight champion and an Olympic gold medalist. And as an entrepreneur, he actually is known for the George Foreman Grill, which is one of the best ever. Foreman was the heavyweight boxing champion of the 1968 Summer Games in Mexico City. He turned professional, and then he KO'd Joe Frazier in 1973. He defended the belt twice before Muhammad Ali got them in the Rumble of the Jungle 74, and Foreman couldn't do it. He lost to Jimmy Young in 1977 and decided to retire. And then basically he found out he had an epiphany and became an ordained minister. 10 years later, he actually came back into boxing, and by 1994, he faced Michael Moore, who was 19 years younger than him, and he won the WBA, IBF, and linear heavyweight championship titles by knocking him out. He decided to drop the WBA belt rather than face his mandatory title defense. And basically, after an IBF title defense, he renounced his title. He was 46 years and 169 days old. He was the oldest ever to win the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship, and the second oldest in any weight class after Bernard Hopkins at light heavyweight. He retired in 1997 at the age of 48. BoxRec does their best heavyweights, and his career high ranking was number 2 in 72, 73, 74, I guess because Ali was still kind of boxing. He got some 5-star bouts. He was inducted into the World Boxing Hall of Fame and all that. They say that he's the 8th greatest heavyweight of all time. And the ring said he was the 9th greatest puncher of all time. He was a ringside analyst for 12 years. Yeah, which is amazing. So the 1968 Summer Olympics, he competed. He took out Trela of Poland on points. He defeated, in the quarterfinals, he took out Alexei of Romania by referee stoppage. Semifinal against Bambini of Italy, KO'd him in the second round. And in the final, the referee stopped the contest against the Russian, Jonas Sipilas, probably out of Lithuania. So basically, he walked around the ring with the small U.S. flag and bowed to the crowd and said that his Olympic gold medal was the best thing he ever had. It's pretty good. Amateurs. He actually sparred on a couple of occasions with former heavyweight champion Sonny Liston. For the heck of it. Yeah. He decided to turn professional in 1969 and did pretty well for himself. In 1970, he wanted to be the undisputed champion for heavyweights. He beat Giorgio Peralta, which was hard to do sometimes, and he even beat George Chavallo by TKO at Madison Square Garden, pissing me off kind of as a Canadian fan. Foreman got a rematch with Peralta and beat him. After becoming 32-0 with 29 KOs, he was made the #1 challenger by the WBA and WBC. So basically, he got to face Joe Frazier at the Sunshine Showdown in Kingston, Jamaica. Actually, in 72, he was supposed to face Frazier. Despite boycotting a title elimination caused by the vacancy of Ali being stripped, Frazier won the title from Jimmy Ellis and defended his title 4 times. Basically, having a decision over Ali, and then after Ali took down Bonifena and Quarry. So the Sunshine Showdown happened January 22nd, 1973 in Jamaica. ABC rebroadcast it because obviously they didn't have TV rights then. So ABC did that for Wide World Sports. Howard Cosell kept making the memorable call, "Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!" So basically, Frazier and Foreman combined before the fight were 66-0. Foreman 37 wins and Frazier 29 wins. Frazier was knocked down 6 times within 2 rounds, and basically the referee Arthur Mercante had to call an end to the bout. Now, a lot of people said, wait a minute, wasn't there a 3 knockdown rule? Not in effect for this bout, but I think it should have been better. Basically, Frazier's balance and mobility were impaired after being knocked down the second time, that he couldn't evade the combinations. Frazier got to his feet all 6 times. But unfortunately, Foreman was called an aloof and antisocial champion. He was basically a sneer. Foreman actually said that he did that demeanor because he was emulating Sonny Liston, who was partially related to the mob, if you will. Foreman defended his title successfully twice. In Tokyo, he faced Jose Roman, the Puerto Rican heavyweight champion. But Foreman only took him out in 2 minutes. And then his next defense was against Ken Norton, who was a very tough opponent who actually didn't KO Ali, but he knocked Ali to the canvas, which rarely happened. He faced the highly regarded Ken Norton, the future Hall of Famer, who was 30-2 and all that, and broke Ali's jaw. Norton did pretty well against Ali. And Norton had a reputation for showing nerves against heavy hitters. Basically, that was just terrible. Unfortunately, though, in the second round, Norton just had problems. He couldn't recover, and the referee stopped the fight. The Caracas Caper. Well, Foreman was now 40-0 with 37 KOs. And then we got the Rumble in the Jungle, Foreman Ali. It was basically huge. The defense was October 30th in Kinshasa, Zaire. However, Foreman suffered a cut above his eye, which meant the match had to be postponed for a month. So basically, that was huge. This affected his training regimen, and he couldn't spar in the build-up. He said that this was the best thing that happened to Ali when we were in Africa. The fact that I had to get ready for the fight without being able to box. Ali actually decided to tour Zaire and do himself to the public, and basically made Foreman look like a terrible person, if you will. Foreman was still favored, though. Ali then used the famous rope-a-dope technique to get on Foreman's nerves. So the rope-a-dope actually worked out, and in the 8th round, Foreman got KO'd. A lot of people said Foreman may have thrown it because at the count of 7 or 8, he was still he could have rose to his feet and all that. Unfortunately, no. He failed. He tried to seek a rematch against Ali, but he couldn't secure it. And a lot of people said Ali was ducking him, taking on low-risk opponents such as Chuck Wepner, Richie Dunn, J.P. Koopman, and Alfredo Evangelista. But Ali, to his credit, actually fought formidable opponents after getting the title. Ron Lyle, and gave rematches to Frazier and Norton, the only 2 men to have ever beaten him. But Foreman technically lost his edge. Foreman didn't fight in 75. However, in 76, he decided to have a comeback and try to get a rematch with Ali. So his first opponent was Ron Lyle. So anyway, it was a huge one. Foreman KO'd Lyle in the 5th round, and they called it the fight of the year. Foreman then faced Frazier in a rematch. Frazier wasn't doing so hot. So he lost to Ali twice in the trilogy Frazier did with Ali, and then to Foreman. Foreman was 41-1. However, their rematch was competitive. Frazier decided to fight. Frazier ended up having contact lenses for his vision, but it got knocked off. Basically, Frazier was tried his best, but he got KO'd in the 5th round. Foreman then took down a couple of prospects to finish the year. In 1977, he had a life-changing year. He beat a guy in Pensacola, and then he flew to Puerto Rico a day before the fight without a fight without giving time to acclimatize. His opponent was Jimmy Young. I know that Foreman and Young had a fight. However, Foreman did terribly, and he got knocked out by Jimmy Young. He became ill in his dressing room after the fight. He was suffering from exhaustion and heat stroke, and thought he had a near-death experience. He said he found a hellish, frightening place of nothingness and despair, and he thought he was dead. He was not religious. He began to plead with God to help him. He explained that he sensed God asking him to change his life and ways. When he said, "I don't care if this is death, I still believe there is a God," he felt a hand pull him out and sensed he was getting stigmata. After that experience, Foreman became a born-again Christian, dedicating his life for a decade to God. He didn't formally retire from boxing. He stopped fighting and became an ordained minister. He was preaching on street corners, but he was made reverend of the Church of Lord Jesus Christ in Houston and devoted himself to his family congregation. He also opened a youth center for him. He still speaks about his experience on Christian TV broadcasts and said that Jimmy Young knocked the devil out of him. However, in 1987, he came back into the ring. At age 38, everyone was surprised. His primary motive was to raise money for the youth center he had created. And he also wanted to fight Mike Tyson. So he beat a journeyman in Sacramento in 4 rounds. He weighed 267 pounds and looked badly out of shape. He wanted to tell people that age is not a barrier to people achieving their goals, and said that age 40 is not a death sentence. He then slimmed down, improved his fitness, and did pretty well for himself. He didn't lose mobility in the ring since his first retirement, which was amazing. And he didn't really have a lot of late round fatigue as he used to. Foreman decided to advertise for various products such as grills and from grills to mufflers. His public persona was reinvented, and basically he was more friendly and all that. Ali and Foreman actually became friends outside the ring for that. Foreman would take on Jerry Cooney in Atlantic City. And basically, Foreman got a KO on Cooney in the 2nd round. Foreman did pretty well. And then he was given a massive chance to prove himself in 1991, facing Holyfield for the heavyweight belt. Foreman did okay, but, Foreman didn't get KO'd. He just lost on points. Round 7 was just amazing. Foreman almost knocked Holyfield down. Yeah. Foreman got another shot in 93 for the WBO title belt against Tommy Morrison, who actually was in Rocky V, if you must know. Morrison wins the unanimous decision, and Foreman had a sitcom on ABC. It only aired for 10 episodes. And then he regained the title against Michael Moore in 1994, after Moore took down Holyfield for the IBF and WBA titles. Foreman was unranked and in no position to demand another title shot. But his high profile made a title shot against Michael Moore, a prospect, at little risk. So basically, Foreman decided to do that, and even wore the same red trunks in his loss to Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle. More easily outboxed Foreman, and was really trailing. However, Foreman knocked more with a number of punches. He had a short right hand that got more on the tip of his chin, gashed open the bottom lip, and he collapsed to the canvas. Foreman shocked everyone by winning in a KO. He did it. He broke 3 records with that. He was the oldest fighter to win a world championship at 45. He broke the record for fighter with the longest interval between his first and second world championships, that being 20 years, and the age spread between champion and challenger was 19 years, which was the largest of any championship fight. But anyway, the WBA wanted George Foreman to fight Tony Tucker for the WBA belt, but Foreman did not want to fight Tucker, and the WBA stripped him of the belt. All that. Foreman fought Axel Schultz of Germany for his IBF title. Schultz seemed to have won the match, but Foreman was given a majority decision. Yet, when the IBF said there was a rematch in Germany, Foreman refused the terms of the fight and decided to vacate the IBF title. So, anyway. Foreman decided to finally retire for good in '98. He was supposed to fight Larry Holmes on pay-per-view at the Astrodome, but they couldn't do anything for negotiations, despite the fact Foreman was set to make $10 million from it. So yeah, Foreman had married 5 women in his career. He has 12 children, 5 sons and 7 daughters. His 5 sons are George Jr., George III, George IV, George V, and George VI. And Foreman says, I named all my sons George Edward Foreman so that they would have something in common. If one goes up, then we all go up together. And if one goes down, we all go down together. His 7 daughters are Natalia, Leola, Frida, Mishi, Georgetta, Isabella, and Courtney. He actually adopted a daughter in 2009 and another in 2012. Frida was 5-1 as a pro boxer, retired, but then committed suicide. Isabella blogs in Sweden, which was amazing. Frida was actually mentioned in a King of the Hill episode when Luann was told she could box and all that. Unfortunately, her opponents were basically people Buck Strickland hired and all that to make Luann feel good. And Luann gets it through her head, she's well, but Frida, she has to face Frida Foreman, and she basically loses, I think. So yeah, that's amazing. George Foreman is a legend in himself. And he'll always be a legend. Anyway, that's all for now. I did.